Hi Aquarius, welcome to your lunar eclipse reading. So the lunar eclipse just happened and your video and the Pisces video are called Aftercare. As you can tell, I am in my bed surrounded by the sights and smells that I find most soothing. Why? Well, to be perfectly honest, your reading is a difficult energy to tap into during this eclipse. There is something or someone from the past that needs to be put in perspective, and your clarity of purpose in other arenas of your life, your purpose, your true purpose, whether it's, starting a company or a movement or a thought process that you want to bring into whatever it is. There is a link between hanging on to this energy, even if it's just in your mind, in your heart, and not being able to bring this thing that you want to do, this thing that is you, to fruition. Now, for some of you, this really doesn't make any sense at all. You're like, wait, what do you mean? I'm able to do the things that make you successful. I'm able to quiet the mind, and I'm able to push through and work even when I feel like it's absolutely the wrong thing to do. Yeah, but this is more about energetic clutter. The eclipse is pointing out to you as we speak where and how the clutter in your emotional life is keeping the energy from running smoothly. And that clutter in your emotional life and that lack of smooth running energy then leads to a deficit in the power you need to, bottom of the deck, live your purpose. Let's take a look at what's come out here. King of Wands, Page of Cups. So, there are people right now who are going to elicit this kind of romanticized reaction from you. It's easy to turn them into something that they're not, or to continue to see them as something that they never were. But I don't know if you realize how romanticizing this figure, or, for some of you, this is a place you were in your life that you thought, okay, this is like the best, and I never want this to change. So you're romanticizing a certain period of your life, or a certain ex-partner, or a job you used to have, or the money you once made. Whatever it is that you're romanticizing, you have to understand that you're also at the same time romanticizing the pain around it. You are, in fact, by romanticizing this period, this figure, this person, continuing to inflict pain on yourself and hating yourself for it at the same time. That's the part that never quite makes sense and goes undetected so often. When you're putting all this energy out there to make yourself believe that there used to be something out there that made you complete, what you're doing in the present is you're negating your existence now and whatever got you here now, because it wasn't them. They weren't a part of it, which is why you're even thinking what you're thinking. So how far you've come on your own without them somehow seems irrelevant and unnecessary, and that's not fair. Because you've done the work, and you should be getting the rewards. But the traditional meaning of that hanged man is that you are getting in your own way. Your way of thinking is keeping you from being able to achieve in a way that is, in alignment with the effort that you make. The disconnect between the effort that you make and the physical expression of that. The disconnect It's so clear. This is what I mean by it's a difficult energy to tap into. It's like tapping into like a live wire, a nerve. All facts, no feelings, you know. And as much as I like to deny my feelings, that Cancer rising runs deep. And some things are difficult to say to people. And I, contrary to popular belief, don't relish saying some things. But this is very clear. No? You have to figure out what in your mindset, what romanticized version of your past or your past self is keeping you from being rewarded materially the way that you should for the effort that you are making and the success that you are garnering, even if you're not seeing the material results yet. What the cards are saying is the reason you're not seeing the material results yet is because traditional meaning, your mindset. There's something in your mindset that's keeping you continually off this road. And it has something to do with pride. It has something to do with... So now that we have most of our cards, let's have a little talk. Now there are some of you who are thinking, no, I'm not having any sort of fantastical thoughts about the past. I know what the past was. That doesn't mean you're free of it. There is a lesson there. And it doesn't have to be the lesson of letting go. Do you understand what I'm saying? There is something from your past that is trying to teach you a very important lesson, something that you need to know. Yes, for some of you, it is simply, it's not as good as you thought it was and not as good as you remember. But if you look underneath that, and for most of you, that's what it is. It's that career wasn't as great as you thought it was, or that ex wasn't the incredible person you're trying to turn them into. But if you look deeper, and that's what this eclipse is asking of you, what you find is the reason. Why did you pick a profession that was tailor-made to leave you wanting more, to leave you empty, bereft of meaning? Why did you choose someone who was tailor-made to neglect you? Why didn't you see any of the red flags that indicated at the very beginning that they would indeed abandon you? Why didn't you notice that whatever decision it is that now you can't seem to make sense of, not even that you can't shake it. That's what I'm saying. Some of you are like, no, I'm not obsessing over something from the past. It's not that. It's make sense of. There is still that why. Perhaps it's come to you in your dreams as, a situation that's still ongoing now. That's the brain asking why. Why was there a time when this was daily life and this was normal? Why was there a time when you dealt with this, when you were okay with this, when you tolerated this? And why would you want that time back for some of you, but for others, why did you allow it? Where is the lesson? It's somewhere in there. It has something to do with the logic and stability that you crave in your life and that you need. But there are certain things, and this may be why you have so much trouble letting go of them. There are things that just don't make sense, and they're beginning to, starting at this eclipse, gnaw at you. They have to do with your pride as well. There is some element of not wanting to admit that this person or this thing throws you off your path. It's like there's a part of you that's like, well, if my path doesn't include this person or this thing or this profession or this identity, then I don't want it. Okay, but that's also not a decision that you're allowed to make. That's not your decision to make. So you could find this period really frustrating because You want to kind of logic your way out of it. I don't agree. I don't want to do this. I don't want to live in this paradigm. I want, I'm in control of my fate. I decide what happens to me. And I decide that this person or this thing, especially if they're a fixed sign, especially if they're an earth fixed sign, so a Taurus, there may be something very obstinate within you. It's like, no, if that person or that thing isn't on my road, then I don't want it. I don't want the road. And that's really odd for you. It's really odd for you to behave that way. It's really odd for you to be reckless in that way, especially about something so serious. So I think it's also a time where a lot of people are confused by you and put off by you and feel like you're selling yourself short and not living up to your full potential, and that just further alienates Aquarius and further drives them inward, because what do you know? It's the presumption that's the most insulting. Like, what are you even talking about? You have no idea what's going on with me. But I can say, from looking at everything here in your astrology and what's obviously here in the cards, being stubborn is what will trip you up. As long as you're able to walk into every new situation, and that is asking a lot, somewhat neutral and not judgmental, it's fairly good chances that nothing major happens. But whenever you start to judge someone for whatever reason, just understand that that's projection. And it's the same kind of, lying that we do to ourselves when we, for example, when we clutter our lives with people that we know don't deserve us and don't maybe even want us the way we want them. You know what I mean? We have to learn and evolve. Right? Yeah. Okay. Today, on the 16th, a lot of people are reaching out because they don't really know what to do with this eclipse energy. A lot of people are asking you how you feel. It's fine to share how you feel, as long as you believe that the people asking have genuine intentions and that they are asking out of concern. Don't be anybody's ideological punching bag right now. No matter what comes up in the media, let people fight their own fights. It's not your fight. Yeah. Get some rest. Second card out. Get some rest. Me too. Love you. Hi Aquarius, welcome to the second part of your reading. Okay, first of all, I fell asleep for 2.5 hours, knocked out as soon as I stopped the camera. You know what? I think that there is a way to talk about this that I'm trying to avoid. And I don't really do that with anyone except you. And I think it's because it's the most difficult to see someone with the most pride be told something that perhaps will embarrass them in a way. I'm not sure. I just don't like doing it. I like to let proud people have their dignity. I'm much more, for example, apt to give an ingratiating person the truth because, yeah, you already don't care about yourself. So, okay, so let's just get to it. The most striking thing to me about this is that there is so much effort being made in the physical. And there is also so much effort being made in, let's say, the spiritual realm or the astral realm or however you identify it. And yet the alignment between the two is so off. because along with the physical strain, which you're doing great, physically you're putting in all the work. The Ten of Wands is really clear. But the reason it's not in line with whatever you're doing emotionally and what you're doing emotionally, maybe you're thinking, no, but I am thinking all the right positive things, and I am thinking well of myself, and I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing to manifest, you know, the happiness that I deserve. Yes, so that's what I'm saying. I see you doing all the work in the physical and the spiritual. It's the alignment that's missing. And I think the alignment has everything to do with what I said. But it's tricky because how do you say to someone that everything that they're doing on both fronts is totally right, except this misperception that they have of something from the past is so deep and so damaging to their self-image that it's putting a block on everything. And the worst part is it doesn't directly have anything to do with your self-image. It doesn't have anything directly to do with you, but indirectly, it's so damaging to who you think you are because of the stories that you have to create in your head around this person to maintain who you think they are. All those stories, whether you realize it or not, are on some level about negating yourself. And there's just no way that you can have the things that you want, no matter how much you work, no matter how much you strive, no matter how much you meditate, no matter how much you envision, no matter how much, you know, you dream. There's no way to call something forth in your life if you are telling yourself through stories, through memories, through attachment to a person or a version of you that you used to be. There's no way to get where you want if the story you're telling yourself is that that person, that thing, or that version of you is better than whatever is going on right now. And there are some of you who are thinking, yeah, but it was better. No, it wasn't. I guarantee you that whatever version you remember in your head is the version that you have to remember so you can neglect what's most important to you. And that neglect is happening because you getting on your road and being in your chariot is the worst thing that can happen to your programming. Your programming obviously needs to change, okay? Because it's seeping out in ways that you're not consciously in control of. Now, how is it possible for some opinion that you have of some ex or some former career or whatever it is, how is it possible that that could, in this moment, in the present day, still be wounding you to the point, Ten of Swords, of like doing some very real damage, namely to your pride? How is that possible? Because whatever story you've told yourself about that person, oh, well, they're perfect in that story. They're Captain America, didn't you know? Except they're not. Except even if you look at Captain America long enough, you realize that he just looks like a piece of wood that's been cut in fours. We have a word for that in Urdu, people who look like a piece of wood that's been cut in fours. Sorry, that's poorly translated. But do you know what I mean? Like everything in its right perspective and its proportionate perspective is healthy. But when you disproportionately attribute a bunch of qualities, love, security, validation, right? When you attribute all of this to something outside of yourself, especially something that either no longer wants you or didn't work out, or for some reason you weren't able to, quote unquote, make good on, when you attribute all this to that person, what you're saying silently to yourself, and the silent stuff is way more impactful than the stuff we say out loud, the implication made to the self, what the self is hearing is, all that stuff, all that good, it was all because of them. It was all because of that, not because of you. So when your source of power is so off the center of your life, of course, now it makes sense, the frustration that you're feeling. Unfortunately, I couldn't tell you this before because I didn't have access to it. It took the eclipse, it took the retrograde for me to even have the slightest window into this. And I think I know why. Again, it's that factor, that humiliation factor. This is something, this is like your dirty secret. This is not something that you want anyone to know. That you harbor this pain, this shame, this insecurity around this specific either person or event or former version of yourself or career, whatever it is, you would never admit to anyone that this is something that you think is in some way more valuable than you or made you complete or who you were. You would never admit to that because intellectually, you understand how ridiculous and how silly that is. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of you maybe wonder, no, I'm not really doing this. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, and that's what the conscious Aquarius is going to say. Yeah, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. I wouldn't do that. But if you look deeper within your belief system, if you look deeper at the things that you hearken back to, say, for power or to beat yourself up or to remind yourself of a time that used to be, la, 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 all of a sudden you start to understand what I'm talking about here. See, because you can push the cart up the hill all you want physically, and you can tell yourself the whole time that you're going to make it and you're pushing this cart and it's going to get to the top of the hill. You can do all of that. You can do all of that. But if you've decided once you get almost to the top that if this person, this thing, this whoever, whatever, doesn't help you push it over, the plateau, you're not going to be able to make it because that's the missing piece to you. Didn't you know? Well, as long as you have a missing piece that doesn't go with everything else because you've decided that this person or this thing is that powerful or that important, that they're the missing piece. Once you've decided that cart's never getting up onto the plateau. It will roll back down and you will do your Sisyphus thing. Because it's either that or perhaps admit to something that's maybe too humiliating for you to admit to. Even listening to it is like making you uncomfortable. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not doing that. I don't even know what you want me to admit to. Listen, you don't have to admit it to anyone else. Between you and me, I'm not there. Okay, so just between you and me, you can admit that you are doing this. There is something that you're looking at in your past that is of immense value to you that you feel that somehow you fucked up. Or you failed, or you did that, or you. But all the yous are in the most negative way. All the yous are like, oh, you shoulda, you coulda, why didn't you? And all the stuff that's attributed to either this person, this thing, this externality, let's call it, is like, the positive stuff. The stuff, that made you who you were, that opened you up, that gave you life, that gave you the adoration that you wanted, that gave you the purpose you wanted. Didn't you know? So what does that mean? Who are you now then? If you don't get to have that thing, are you just a walking, dream that used to be? Are you a walking love that used to be? You don't plan on dreaming again? You don't plan on loving again? You don't plan on trying again? See, that's exactly what you would do if you were attributing your power to an externality. You would run out of power. You would be drained. That's exactly how you would be thinking. No, I don't have the energy to try again. No, I don't have the energy to love again. No, I don't have the energy to, take the risk again. No, I don't. Well, of course not. Because in your head, for however long, the past however many years, all your power has been going directly to that person or that thing, that externality. I bet you are drained. I bet you're really, really tired. I bet you're so tired that as soon as someone talks about you, they go to sleep for a couple of hours. And the kind of sleep where you don't know where you are. You don't know what planet you're on. It was like, I need deep rest right now. And there it is, spelled out so beautifully. 6 of Wands, the Hangman, and the Ace of Pentacles. Everything else is kind of irrelevant. But the Chariot and the 10 of Swords really do bring it home, huh? That's your reading right there. You know, that chariot, listen, the thing is, no matter how long you want to stay off the road, and that's what's hurting you. That's what's hurting you. You're doing all this work, but not on the road. Not on the road. You're doing all this work, but all the money, all the things you're looking for, all the security is on your road. But if you've associated your road with the Ten of Swords, I can see why you don't want to get in that chariot. I wouldn't either. You see how this is all the Hangman? You see the traditional definition of this card kicking your ass right now? This is a mindset. You have put yourself either willingly or you have slowly, unbeknownst to you, slipped into it. You have given your power away. And this is exactly why doing readings at the lunar eclipse is gangster, because I know this isn't the stuff you want to hear. Nobody wants to hear this. Nobody with an iota of intellect or pride or dignity or self-respect or ambition or, you know, a solid work ethic wants to hear this. Nobody wants to hear that somehow their view of the past is draining their present of its energy and its potential and its opportunity. Nobody wants to hear that. And yet you and I both know that this is true. That's the thing about eclipses. We don't need to wallow in this. This is a reality. Check yourself. Figure it out. Whatever narrative or story you're telling yourself about this externality, figure it out. And then tell yourself that that story that you just figured out is bullshit. It is a complete lie, because no matter what superpower, hero thing that you're attributing to this person, thing, whatever it is, it did not give you purpose. It did not complete you. It did not give you the love you were always looking for. It did not give you the purpose or the adulation, the affirmation that you always needed. No, it didn't do any of that. You did a lot of stuff. You got a lot of stuff that you wanted and needed. It is a lifeless whatever it is. It is a concept in your head that you made up to give your power away to because it's too uncomfortable to hold it yourself. And that's exactly what this eclipse is asking you. Like, aren't you tired of this? You want to hold this power yourself for a little while, or no? How long are we going to throw this in other people's hands? Because you know what other people are going to do with this. They're going to use it. They're going to misuse it. Even if they haven't talked to you in years, you don't think they're using this energy? You don't think that they understand that they've opened up a vein in you and that they can get whatever they want by tapping into your energy, because all your energy wants is them or that thing? Because, of course, that's what's subconsciously happening. If you've attributed all this good in your life to this other person, this externality, subconsciously you're chasing that externality all the time, which means that subconsciously they're running from that. They're running from you all the time. You understand how insidious this gets? How this kind of weaves itself into the fabric of your life, a thought process like this. Good. We're getting into extended right now. The links are below. I love you, love you. 7/7 Los Angeles. We're having a party. Come through. We're going to do a live podcast.